Now we continue our 5-part series based on the works of Gilbert and Sullivan, where broadcaster Fionn returns to RTE Radio 1 and, aided and abetted by Gerry McArdle, presents To Your Humours Changing, we tune our Supple song.
Daily News, Friday, March 1875. So completely is each imbued with the same spirit that it would be as difficult to conceive the existence of Mr. Gilbert's verses without Mr. Sullivan's music, as of Mr. Sullivan's music without Mr. Gilbert's verses. Each gives each a double charm.
Radio Features presents The Value of a Kindly Chorus, the choruses of Gilbert and Sullivan. The value of a kindly chorus.
I know the value of a kindly chorus, but choruses yield little consolation when we have pain and sorrow too before us. I love and love, alas, above my station.
Poor, lovelorn, able seaman Rafe Rackstraw might never have had the backing of a chorus, kindly or otherwise. Cutbacks were threatened at London's Opera Comique. In an effort to head them off, Richard D'Oyley Carte, in his battle with the board of directors, enlisted the help of his friend, composer Arthur Sullivan, who wrote in very formal terms, saying,
Dear Sir, the men's chorus plays such an important part in the new piece that the present chorus must be strengthened. I shall therefore advise making up the number to 6 tenors and 8 basses.
If you say so, maestro. It's all aboard then, said the board. Thus was no expense spared in ushering on deck the sisters, cousins and aunts of the First Lord of the Admiralty, Sir Joseph Porter, KCB, welcomed by those sober men and true of the chorus who make up the crew of HMS Pinafore. The D'Oyley Carte Company in a shipboard double chorus. When writing the libretto for HMS Pinafore, it seems that Gilbert conceived the idea of the sisters and the cousins and the aunts, while in recovery mode from encountering at home a regular plethora of female relations of his wife Lucy. Matter of fact, he always called her Kitty. The man was distracted. As to the chorus per se, as they say, Sullivan picked up a pointer or two during the first and now lost G&S collaboration Thespis.
Until Gilbert took the matter in hand, choruses were dummy affairs and were practically nothing more than a part of the stage setting. It was in Thespis that Gilbert began to carry out his express determination to get the chorus to play its proper part in the performance. At this moment it seems difficult to realize that the idea of the chorus being any more than a sort of stage audience was at that time a tremendous novelty. In consequence of this innovation, some incidents at the rehearsals of Thespis were rather amusing. I remember that on one occasion one of the principals became quite indignant and said, "Really, Mr. Gilbert, why should I stand here? I am not a chorus girl." To which Gilbert replied curtly, "No, madam, your voice is not strong enough, or no doubt you would be."
All that charm school money wasted on Master Gilbert. Back on stage, the idea of chorus as an integral part of the action is realised beautifully in The Pirates of Penzance, when the lovers, Frederick and Mabel, try to have a private conversation, while Mabel's gaggle of sisters talks about the weather, all nor ya, of course.
What ought we to do? Gentle sisters say, propriety we know, says we ought to stay, while sympathy exclaims, free them from your tether, play at other games, leave them here together. Her case may any day be yours, my dear, or mine. Let her make her hay while the sun does shine. Let us compromise, our hearts are not of leather. Let us shut our eyes and talk about the weather. Yes, yes, let's talk about the weather. Beautifully blue, the sky, the clouds are shining very bright. The children fine and hope it may, and yet it came but yesterday. Tomorrow it may pour again. I hear the country wants a rain. People say I do not why that we shall have a war tonight. Tomorrow it may pour again. I hear the country wants a rain. People say I do not why that we shall have a war tonight. Tomorrow it may pour again. I hear the country wants a rain. People say I do not why that we shall have a war tonight.
Exceeding gladness.
How beautifully blue the sky, the clouds are rising very high. Continue fine, I hope it may, and yet it rained but yesterday. Tomorrow it may pour again. I hear the country wants a rain. People say I do not mind that we shall have a war tonight. Tomorrow it may pour again. I hear the country wants a rain. People say I do not mind that we shall have a war tonight. Tomorrow it may pour again. I hear
Did ever higher than the rolling song in guilty dreaming, and where to find that song with peace and virtue beaming?
How beautifully blue the sky, the clouds is rising very high. Continue fine, I hope it may, and yet it rained but yesterday. Continue fine, I hope it may, and yet it rained but yesterday. How beautifully
Muriel Harding as Mabel and Leonard Osborne as Frederick, with Joan Gillingham as Edith and Joyce Wright as Kate, the chattering classes in chorus keeping a watching brief on Mabel and Frederick's lyrical encounter. The Pirates premiered on the 3rd of April 1880. On August 7th of the previous year, Gilbert was writing excitedly to Sullivan,
"I've broken the neck of Act 2, and can see my way clearly to the end. I think it comes out very well. By the way, I've made great use of the tarantara business in Act 2. The police always sing tarantara when they desire to work their courage to sticking point. they are naturally timid, but through the agency of this talisman they are enabled to acquit themselves well when concealed.
Cue a rousing policeman's chorus, Mabel urging them on to immortality, death and slaughter. Lovely girl. The coppers in a highly nervous state, led by the Sergeant of Police, here, Mr. Owen Brannigan.
Foeman bears his steel, we uncomfortable feel, and we find the wisest thing is to slap our chests and sing. For when fretting with the mutes, and your heart is in your boots, there is nothing brings it round like the trumpet's martial sound, like the trumpet's martial sound.
Go, ye heroes, go, glory, go, ye giant glory. Ye shall live in the song and story. Go to immortality, go to death and go to slaughter. Die and live the Cornish daughter, with her tears your grave shall water. Go, ye heroes, go, go, ye heroes, go alive, go, ye heroes, go alive.
Though to us it's evident these attentions are well meant, such expressions don't appear calculated meant to cheer. Who are going to meet the fate in a highly nervous state. Still to us it's evident these attentions are well meant.
Go and do your best endeavor, and before all things we sever, we will say farewell forever. Go to glory and the grave. Go to glory and the grave. Go to those of peace and goodness, also nice and noble, truthful, loving, tender, holy, truthful, all in greatness and praise.
We observe to great distress on the risks that on us press, and a preference elect to our chance of coming back. Still, perhaps it would be wise not to carp or criticize, for it's very evident these attentions are well meant.
Yes, it's very evident, these attentions are well meant. Evident, yes, well meant. Evident, ah, yes, well meant. When the Poland bears his heel,
from the 1968 D'Oyly Cart Company's recording of The Pirates of Penzance, with John Reid chipping in as the Major General, Valerie Masterson as Mabel, and Owen Brannigan as the Sergeant of Police. His fruity bass voice and ebullient personality made him, Northumbrian with Irish genes, a great favourite in the role. Unlike Sullivan, who could be quite formal professionally, Gilbert always had a warm relationship with the chorus, especially the ladies, for whom he cut an avuncular figure. It was probably nerves that caused him, at the dress rehearsal of Iolanthe in November 1882, to roar at the chorus of peers to wear your crowns as if you are used to them. I'm sure they settled in snugly to the task during the run, giving the effect on any London audience basking in the glory of empire at its zenith, who witnessed the pomp, ceremony and musical spectacle of the entrance of the peers from Iolanthe. the entrance of the Peers from Iolanthe, performed by the D'Oyly Cart Chorus and Orchestra under the baton of Isidore Godfrey. Sullivan to Gilbert.
I should like to set a story of human interest and probability, where the humorous words would come in a humorous, not serious situation, and where, if the situation were a tender or dramatic one, the words would be of a similar character.
Thus, from the House of Peers, we turn to the land of the rising sun, albeit a very Savoyard Japan. Gilbert had seen a Japanese sword hanging on his study wall, setting in motion the events which gave birth to the runaway success that was the Mikado. Here we meet the train of little ladies, all schoolgirls, 18 and under, fronted by the precocious three little maids from school.
Three little maids from school are we, birds as a schoolgirl will ken me, filled to the brim with girlish glee. Three little maids from school, everything is a sort of fun. Nobody's safe, boy, care for none. Life is a joke that's just begun. Three little maids from school. Three little maids who all unwary come from the ladies' seminary, three from the genius to Larry. Three little maids from school, three little maids from school. One little maid is a bright young yard, two little maids in attendance come, three little maids is the total sum, three little maids from school. From three little maids take one away, two little maids remain and stay. Won't have to wait very long, they say. Three little maids from school, three little maids from school. Three little maids who all unwary come from a ladies' seminary, three from Virginia to Larry. Three little maids from school, three little maids from school.
The three little maids were Margaret Mitchell, Yum Yum, Joan Gillingham, Pity Sing, and Joyce Wright, Peep Bo. And now the entire chorus greets the man himself, accompanied by his daughter-in-law-elect, as she insists on calling herself the formidable Katisha, Miya-sama.
Miya-sama, under my Ihr habt ihr so
kind of melody as I expect. I'm the Emperor of Japan,
And I'm his daughter-in-law elect. He'll marry his son, he's only got one, to his daughter-in-law elect.
My morals have been declared particularly correct.
But they're nothing at all compared with those of his daughter-in-law elect. Bow, bow to his daughter-in-law elect.
Bow, bow to his daughter-in-law elect. In a fatherly kind of way, I govern each tribe and sect, all cheerfully on my sway.
Except his daughter-in-law elect, as tough as a bone with a will of her own, is his daughter-in-law elect.
My nature is love, and like my freedom from all defect.
He's insignificant quite compared with his daughter-in-law elect. Bow, bow to his daughter-in-law elect.
Bow, bow to his daughter-in-law elect.
Darrell Fancourt was the blood-curdling Mikado, and Ella Halman Katisha. Mia Sama, by the way, is the one genuine Japanese song in the Mikado, a war song of the Japanese Imperial Army, who 7 years previously, in 1877, put down a rebellion against the Mikado. There you are. Forward to the 21st of June, 1889. Gilbert Sullivan.
I am getting on well with Act 1. The first 9 pages of the manuscript are all music and no dialogue. I think it might be convenient for you to have this long number to begin with.
It takes us to the Piazzetta in Venice, where the girls have brought flowers for their favourite gondoliers. With impeccable timing, Marco and Giuseppe Palmieri hove into view, and as they start to come ashore in their striped jerseys, there are mutual exchanges of greetings. Buongiorno, signorine, from the lads. Siamo contadine, we are country girls, from the signorine. Mandolins tuned in a thrice, the boys turn out to be dynamically duetting gondolieri.
Buongiorno, signorine.
Gondolieri carissimi, siamo contadini.
Savesoni umilissimi, per chi questi fiori bellissimi.
Per voi, miei signori, oh eccellentissimi.
Oh, Jane, Gerry's quite on a very the train that we fly. Oh, gallantly, no since we were so courted to beauty devoted, Giuseppe and I. When morning is breaking, our countess forsaking, to green there awaking, with carols we come. That summer day morning when really are going to when daylight is fading and raptured night shading, with soft serenading, we sing men to sleep. With soft serenading, we sing men to sleep. With soft serenading, we sing them to sleep. We have forgotten the Gerry, come the Gerry, come the Gerry, la-la-la-la, la-la-la-la-la, come the Gerry, la-la-la-la-la, la-la-la-la-la.
The Palmieri brothers Marco and Giuseppe were sung by Leonard Osborne and Alan Styler from the Gondoliers, with Gilbert's words and Sullivan's notes so dovetailed, fit a foita Maradea, that duet is quintessential G&S. Gifted both, it was the synthesis of talents that produced the verbal and musical magic of their quite unique make-believe world. Long after Sullivan's death, Gilbert never forgot his great collaborator. In reply to good wishes for his 67th birthday, Gilbert said,
"Personally, I'm rather sick of birthdays. I've had so many of them. A Gilbert is of no use without a Sullivan. And I can't find one."
So let's end this celebration of the choruses of Gilbert and Sullivan, staying with the work which found them, satirist and parodist alike, in perfect harmony, still dispensing their sunniness for the 21st century. From the Gondoliers, ladies and gentlemen of the chorus, take your partners for the Cachuca. Ole!
That programme was written by Fionn and Gerry McArdle, who voiced the various readings. The Value of a Kindly Chorus was presented by Fionn and produced by Gerry McArdle.
I know the value of a kindly chorus, but choruses yield little consolation. When we have pain and sorrow too before us, I love and love, alas, above my station.
For further information about these programmes and Gilbert and Sullivan, follow the links to Your Humours Changing, we tune our Supple song, in the Radio 1 pages of the RTE Radio 1 website.
In the final instalment of our G&S series, the romantic side of Gilbert and Sullivan. Well a day, modified rapture.
No, modified rapture.
Yes, and fa-la-la. To Your Humours Changing, we tune our Supple song, presented by Fionn O'Leary.
He is the little man that prances around and sings the patter song.
With a little help from me, our swan song, Wednesday evening at 7, RTE Radio